entertaining NYC, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am honored to be hosting this panel at bb3 on the shift from Web2 to Web3. And joining me today is an illustrious panel of individuals who have meant so much to us in our lives. Like, we live and breathe the cultures that they've created, and they're leading the way into Web3. To my, I guess I'll just go down the line here. To my left, I have Jeremy Greenberg from COLORSxstudio and Colors Community DAO. We also have Summer Watson from Aku. We also have All right, is that better? Yeah. We also have Micah Johnson from Aku. And finally, Jeff Staple from STAPLEVERSE. All right, so I wanted to start off this panel, and as individuals who, again, we've had great impact on culture, and is being seen as leaders in the Web3 space. I imagine that this audience here is a mixture of folks who have onboarded onto Web3, some who maybe have never even attempted, maybe novices, but all of whom probably are familiar with your creativity in some regard. So I was wondering, in your own words, could you tell us a little bit about why you think Web3 is going to be important? Is it the tech? Is it the people? And maybe also tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy. I'm one of the founding members of the Colors Community DAO, which is an offshoot of COLORSxstudio. If you don't know what COLORSxstudio is, it is a music discovery and curation platform that's been around for around 6 years. We've featured over 600 plus artists, and we've been there to feature artists before they're widely known, such as Billie Eilish, Georgia Smith, and a bunch of others. We feature around 100 artists per year, and we've developed a following across socials around like 8 million, and we have over 2 billion plays on YouTube. I've been working in the music industry for the past 8 years in A&R and artist management, and sort of in the beginning of the pandemic, things got very boring as an artist manager because the only options were like put out a music video that no one will watch or release a song that no one will care about. Without like live events, music industry is extremely boring. But when I started seeing Web3, come to fruition and all the things that artists were doing, things got really exciting again for me, and it was sort of re-energizing. So some of the artists I managed, we started participating in the ecosystem. I got involved with Colors early December, kind of helped leading the way for their community, and yeah, it's been super dope. I have no idea if I answered your question, but that's my answer.
And I'm Summer Watson, president of Aku, working on our partnerships, product technology, and marketing, especially our experiential, for those of you that came out to Art Basel in Miami last year. Also a partner in a music company that is artist management and joint venture with Epic and Sony Records, representing AJ Mitchell, Eddie Benjamin, and Kid Culture, so a huge fan of what they're doing at Colors and putting a seed in his ear to get those guys on the show. And in terms of what makes Web3 interesting, I think for me it's everything you said. It's the people and the technology. I come from a technology background. I was drawn to Web3 at the time, just called crypto and blockchain, because of the openness and the transparency. Not every single industry will be able to sustain the full level of transparency and decentralization that we talk about, but I think even even incremental improvements in places like the music industry, Hollywood, film, TV, things that we're working on. Obviously, digital assets and true ownership of digital assets in games, which is something I've also worked on in my background. Those are the things that drew me in. And of course, the people you heard, the reception that Aku gets here, that's our people.
And I'm Micah Johnson. I'm the creator of Aku. And I learned early on to surround myself with really smart people, and like Summer and Amanda and plenty of other people here. But the one thing that I'm super excited about with Web3 is it enables an artist like myself who over a year ago was just painting in my garage in 2020 to go from wanting to get my creativity, but more importantly, my message of empowering kids to dream without limits out to a broader audience, unencumbered by trying to get into a gallery or needing to feel valid or get validation from a gallery to showcase my work. And by doing that and by releasing NFTs, I've been able to create a really special character, in my opinion, that can, I think, influence the way that kids look at STEM, and we can demystify a lot of tech, and hopefully we can demystify some of the stuff with Web3, and kind of like just make it more accessible and appealing to people. And I think that's the kind of the bridge to changing a family tree and lineage, is showing and being ahead of what's next from a technological perspective, and that's kind of what we do.
What's up, everyone? My name is Jeff Staple. I am the founder of a brand called Staple, a streetwear brand. This is actually the 25th anniversary of the brand that I founded in 1997. So definitely been around the block a few times. Pre-internet, I had my home landline phone number on my first business card, no website, no email. And then advancing that to like a website, and then e-commerce, and then social media. So to me, Web3 and NFTs are really just another sort of branch on that extension of expression. And the two things that really are most intriguing to me about it is, number one, it's, actually what really dawned on me was like, I used to dabble in a lot of retail spaces. So I had a store called Reed Space back in the day in the Lower East Side. Then I creative directed Extra Butter, which has locations in LES and Long Island City. And then I also creative directed the new HBX space in Chinatown that just opened this week. And what I saw kids doing is they would grab like the flossiest outfits. Like they would pull like the, Balenciagas and like the Margielas. They'd go in a dressing room, try everything on, and basically conduct like a mini photo shoot, tag all the brands, walk out and be like, no thank you. And they would walk out, and we would see them doing this, and they would get all these likes and all these reactions. And I was like, wow, these kids don't even really care about the physical product anymore, because it's all about the flex on the digital platform. And that was like a real unlock for me when I was like, they don't even care about having the thing. They just want to be seen with it. And then I realized things like people do already absorb 95% of your things that you identify with on a screen, not in the actual real life. So I saw that we were heading in that direction anyway. And then the second thing that was most important to me was IP ownership, right? Intellectual property ownership. I've been blessed in my last quarter century of career to do amazing collaborations with amazing brands. But the relationship that always occurs is come into our office, tell us what's cool, tell us what the kids want, here's a check, and now leave the office. You don't get a seat on the board, you don't get shares, you don't get equity, you don't get say, you just get juiced, right? And now with the smart contract and the ability to dictate how much of that pie slice you would like to have, that is a game changer that I've firsthand seen the difference of just in the 25 years of Web 1, Web 2 collaborations that I've done versus the 11 months of Web 3 collaborations that I've done. I've seen the day and night difference. Like the 11 months of Web 3 work has already eclipsed the gross volume of 24 and a half years of work. That is the difference, So if you are I have friends like Ferocious, People Pleaser, and the like, that if Web3 didn't exist, these guys would be grinding in an office for a decade before anyone maybe took notice of them. And now they're running the show, you know? So that's really the power for me.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. There's a lot I want to drill into there. Something you did touch on was that aha moment, that light bulb. I was wondering maybe if we can come back. Micah, was there a particular moment or anecdote that you can share that you realized that Web3 is it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was February 11th, 2020. That's when I released my first NFT. And that aha moment was seeing a collector come reach out to me personally and have a conversation, and then choose to buy my work, which was at that time very important. I had a daughter, and I wasn't selling any art, so I needed the money. And so he bought it for 3 ETH, which was $1,012 at the time. And he started to go tell other people about my work, and I started to see what this really was. Like, this was wasn't anything like I had been a part of before. People actually cared, and instead of liking my artwork on Instagram, they were buying my art. And that was when I realized this is special, and whatever it turned into, I wanted to be a part of it.
Great, thank you. Summer?
Yeah, for me it was in 2016, and somebody named Kai, who also introduced Micah and I together. We had worked together when I was at Playdom, a game company that we sold to Disney, and he was working at TrialPay, our payment partner who sold to Visa. He reached out and said, "We got to play hooky from work today. I have some things to show you." And he said, "I can tell you about Ethereum." And that was it. I had some Bitcoin. I'd been playing with Bitcoin. Micah can laugh because he is the best salesman ever. And so he laid out his ideal use case for Ethereum, permissionless systems, smart contracts, which was Uber without Uber. And of course, like most use cases that people lay out, it was fraught with issues that weren't going to work. There's a reason why Uber is in the middle to help with the trust that is needed, especially safety. But I could see where it was going, and I could see how you could, break it down into solutions long term. So I took the pill that day, and we played hooky almost every day for the next few months. And through that, I was introduced to the first NFT, one of the first NFTs, if not the first to exist, the CryptoKitties. And at the time, didn't make sense to me. Pusha T as a business partner, we had the opportunity to dive in that a little bit closer, and same thing, he's like cats on the internet. I think that's been figured out. And then fast forward a few years, Kai calls again and says, let's think about those NFTs again. I think they're gonna have a moment. It's gonna be driven by real art, real artists, culture, and I need you to come in with your network and help make some noise to get it into the masses. Like, let's make another culture moment that I know your network can do. One thing led to another, and met my favorite digital artist, Micah, and we got together for the first Genesis drop of Aku. And I think Jeff made a bunch of great points, including probably the one that I think is most near and dear to our hearts and me personally, is just being able to see this thing that Micah created by himself off the back of a question from his nephew, and not only build this incredible community and change the course of his life and his family tree's life, everybody involved, but ultimately to keep hold of the IP. And it's something that we just don't have to compromise at this point. Every conversation we ever have, we don't even have to say it, they just assume it. And they say even before we do that, whatever we do here, we're gonna help you keep hold of that, because we see what's happening, we see what's special, and we've been able to build that leverage with the help of not only the revenue that's been driven, the visibility, but most importantly, our community, which a lot of people have seen stand up for us over the past year in a lot of different ways.
Thank you, Summer. Definitely want to put a pin in things like community. I think you mentioned usability. Lots of great topics already brought up. I do want to get Jeremy's perspective on the same topic in terms of what that light bulb moment is. And maybe if you're so willing, maybe talk about community as it relates to DAOs, which I know Colors is implementing.
Yeah, so the aha moment for me, I think was when I collected my first POAP, and I was just like, why is this fun for me? If you don't know what a POAP is, it's an NFT that's free for the issuer or free for the collector. It's sort of like a ticket stub that you get as like a memory you were there. And so I forget what POAP I collected first, but it was just cool to have something, and I don't know why. I was just like, that's fun, and I have no idea, because on paper this seems stupid. Like, I feel like if you read about it, or you're just like checking Twitter, there's a lot of noise, and you might be like, this all sounds horrible, this is all a Ponzi scheme, it's all really stupid. But as you really get involved and you start meeting people in the community, and all these people on the panel, but just a ton of people in this room, there's so many like brilliant creative minds and so much good energy. And working in the music industry, yes, there's a bunch of creative energy, but you're not always around the best like spirit and vibe. And I feel like Web3 has a really collaborative feel to it, and it makes it really fun. That being said, moving on to the DAO question. So a DAO is another sort of buzzword that floats around and can be quite daunting. What the fuck is a DAO? You may ask yourself. It stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which sounds even worse, which I'm still confused about. And a lot of people have their own definitions as to what a DAO is to them, because that's how loosely the term is used. But it's really a community that has a shared vision and basically a shared treasury or bank account where they vote on things, communally, to decide how they deploy the capital and what sort of things they focus on. So it's a really exciting thing when you bring together people with a shared vision and what people can accomplish. And the cool thing about NFTs is everyone shares in the ownership, because everyone has the NFT and they can sell the NFT in the secondary market. And typically, if the community is doing well, potentially the NFT goes up. It may not, so don't buy NFTs for that reason. But when you're doing that, there's also a secondary market royalty. Let's say it's like 10%, that when you sell it, you get 90%, but 10% kicks back to that treasury. It sort of sustains itself, right? And so that's really, really powerful, because there's no middleman there, and the money just flows. Crypto in general, in terms of like sending money, is 9 million times easier than sending with your bank account. So even that alone, like there's a few things in Web3 and crypto that once you see them or once you experience them, you're like, well, I can't unsee that. So it's kind of like the electric car is sort of the death to the gas car. It's just a matter of time. That's sort of where we're at with Web3. Doesn't really matter what the market is doing. The technology is really powerful. So with the DAO, that's what we mess around with. We play around with the tools, how to bring the communities closer together, and we govern, and we discover different ways to govern, which is really cool, because I'm an acting major and I don't know what the fuck any of that is. And so having this to explore all of that and be around really smart people, that's awesome. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy, for that explanation. I think on my part, and there's a point for me to share my own experience, because it will lead into a question. I'm a collector of things, right? So whether it be sneakers or trading cards or art, I've always found myself buying. It's like a unilateral conversation. It's just happening in one direction. I think my aha moment was when someone had told me about an NFT project called Doodles. It's my PFP project. I didn't know much about him. I liked the pastels. The guy was like an illustrator for Google. Looked into it. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Someone said, just join the Discord. No need to buy, just join the Discord. I started seeing the community, as Jeremy had mentioned, in terms of not just communicating and engaging with each other, but actually voting as to how they want to use their community funds to do cool stuff, to build new projects, to do things that I didn't think were possible for a random group of strangers to actually decide on. And that was my aha moment, but as someone who's on the other side of not building, but as maybe a consumer or a user or a holder, that's how I felt it. As a collector, I actually had skin in the game. And I had the ability to put my energy back into that flywheel. And it wasn't just one direction anymore, it was actually bi-directional. So the question I want to ask the panel is, within your respective areas, whether that be fashion, streetwear, design, entertainment, music, what have you, for those users, how can you explain when they're going to know when they feel it? Like, what is that killer application that you've thought of that is being built or it has been built that they'll just know when they have that feeling? So, let's start with something.
You want us to give you our roadmap?
I don't know, the crowd, do you want the roadmap, Raku? Take a vote?
I think for us, it's the principles that are in place are what we're talking about here, which are the shared incentives and the shared visions. It's not to say that those things can't happen without Web3. Web3, I think blockchain accelerates it because everything is open and transparent. And so you can not have to trust that the company or the creators are doing the things that you've said. You can see nearly everything. And I think for us, we hear a lot about utility, what's utility, which has been a struggle because honestly, I was drawn to Micah and Aku through the art. When I bought Genesis 1, when I minted Genesis 1, I wasn't thinking how much is this gonna be worth, even in a year. And so coming from a product technology background, I've spent most of my career in Silicon Valley, I think of utility as engagement. And to give people real use, like not as a proxy for when will I make my money back tenfold, but to be able to actually drive value. If you can, as a side effect of that, be able to recoup the money you put in and then some, great. Like a really great example I think we talk about internally is I have nieces and nephews. Micah has a young child and nieces and nephews, daughter. And when they go into games, when they go and spend time in places like Minecraft, and they are putting all of this time and energy into something that they bought, even if they only bought it for $2. When they're done, or if the game shuts down, it'd be really great that they can take that with them, or that they can trade it in for something else. Again, these are things that could happen technically without Web3 and blockchain, and there are secondary markets for digital assets and games, but there's something really unique about everything being open and everybody seeing each other and what they're doing and being able to trust that directly. I think we also have seen this current cycle burst out. We've seen a few cycles of up and down in the time that we've been in, but this current cycle really exploded when the world changed, right? We were stuck inside. We were questioning what it meant to work for someone else, what authority meant, and if we could trust it. And so I think all of these dynamics have come together to create this moment and this time, and I think it's on all of us, the builders, to recognize that a lot of that, again, is not unique to this technology, but it is unique to those of us who came in and did it. And so now we have to think about how this scales as it goes to the rest of the world. Even for us, when we started with the chapters, which were very much a different kind of NFT than most people were looking at for the past year, and we transitioned to launch the Akutars, we had a lot of discussions with our community leaders, with our moderators, about how we were gonna keep intact what was special about our Discord, our Twitter, our community that got behind the chapters, which also had such an emotional element to the story that was being told about this swaggy little black kid with a space helmet in Chicago. And we've done a lot of work to do that. We saw the moment when we did get a bunch of hype from people that weren't aware of Aku before, and there was a lot more talk about floor prices in the Discord, and it was our community that came back and said, no, this isn't how we roll in here. And we have, through that, in some senses, maybe some people left because they did want to have that talk, but I think a lot of people were converted. And it's back to how are we building this thing together as fast as possible. We do a lot really fast. Hopefully this bear market will give us a little bit more time to breathe. But so that's it. I mean, without giving out the exact things that we hope to build, they are things that are going to be based on story. They're going to be based on our community be able to create things with us, with each other, and reap the benefits of what that means to be the next layer of creators.
Great. Micah, Do you want to add anything, or can we pass to Jeff?
Pass to Jeff.
All right, Jeff, you're up.
Yeah, the community is, STAPLEVERSE is only 6 months old, but the community has already been super loud, and we've been doing so many things that I would never do in my Web2 brand, where, a lot of brand owners, I think, are in some ways perfectionists, right? Because you have to be. If you're gonna manufacture 10,000 t-shirts, you want to quadruple check that shirt because there is no undo button when those 10,000 t-shirts hit your warehouse. So it's my nature to be very like quadruple, triple, double check everything, but it's the nature of Web3 to be break fast, fix faster, right? And so just a few examples, like in the 6 months, like you'll see right out here on Howard Street, there's a whole wheat pasting campaign for STAPLEVERSE that I've never seen the artwork for. It was never approved by me, and it's up, and they used a baby picture of me that I'm like low-key mad about, but I'm like, I guess it's Web3, right? Our Coinbase NFT banner was made by the community and then upvoted on by the community without me having a say or a hand in it. I have a team here that's making a film, a documentary about STAPLEVERSE that is not under my jurisdiction. Even like the idea for the film is not even mine, not to mention the making of the film or the film itself. It's just happening, it's crazy. There's just so many things that are just like arising, bubbled up from the community. We had a dinner the other night where we had sort of like the highest collectors of STAPLEVERSE. We rented out N Japanese, had a dinner with the core team and them. In the 25 years of my old brand, I've never had a dinner with my customers and my team. Because the difference is, y'all aren't customers. Y'all are actually stakeholders in, in this project. I'm not just selling to you, it's not a one-way transaction. And after that dinner, we hung around and they talked about what they wanted to see and we listened and we're gonna react, and that stuff just cannot happen in Web 1 and Web 2 for whatever reason, and it happens organically in Web 3. Again, these are all things that happened in the last 5.5 months. Like, it's insane.
That's beautiful. Jeremy, how about on the music side? How do those users really feel the power of Web3?
I think there's sort of many angles. I think when artists first release their first music NFT or have had some experience on Catalog or Sound, which are some music NFT platforms, it's sort of a shift because you start developing your sort of on-chain, your blockchain community, and also you generate the revenue very quickly. Artists are used to waiting months on end and trying to discover where their royalties are, and they just disappear, and it's very hard to collect as an artist. And this is a direct relationship with your fans that you've never been able to have. And what's, I think, exciting is, when you bring NFTs into music and you start thinking of fan clubs, it's like I've never joined an artist's fan club, but I'm mega fans of some artists. If they had one, I don't even know if I would join, but if it was an NFT membership where I could join the world that they're building and become sort of, like a stakeholder into what's going on, to me that's so much more exciting. And there's so many artists, if you bought a Drake membership pass years ago, and now you're in on all the shit, and it was 1,000, and then you got to go to all the OVO parties and wear all the cologne that he makes, or whatever the hell he's doing. You just have exposure to all of that, and you can decide, hey, this doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Boom, I'm out. But because the value of the artist is, that they're Drake now, the value of your NFT probably goes up. It might not. It could totally go down. Nobody knows. Well, let's say it does. That's pretty cool, because now you get to almost, you're a stakeholder. So I think that's an unlock for many artists. And artists are really, they're stuck. They're like, well, I either go viral on TikTok or there's no marketing plan. And that goes as high as Halsey or big ass artists that the label's hey, you better find a way to go viral on TikTok before we release this song. We're gonna actually test it and let's see. It's what? I'm Halsey or I'm whoever. I shouldn't have to do this, but that's where we are. So artists are okay, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and that's not an option that works for me. Web3, it may not be a solution to it all, but at least it's something else. At least it's something else to try and to develop a community. Like, you have 1,000 people that are fans of yours that are part of your membership community. You release a song and now you have 1,000 retweets. You just have a marketing team built in, and you don't even have to feel bad because you guys are all equity partners. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. Last thing, because I know I'm talking forever, but my friend created a zine with his grandma, and he was like, and he's also a musician and graphic designer. And I'm like, okay, cool, like cool grandma zine, nice. I probably wouldn't have bought the grandma zine if it was on Instagram, but he's such a cool creative. He does everything. If I could be a part of his fan club, that would be sick. So I told him about that, and now he's like, oh shit, unlock, I'm gonna go make a fan club. It's like, great, let me know, let me buy it. You know, so that stuff.
So I've been wanting to ask this question. As an aspiring builder in Web3 myself, I often have a challenge with trying to figure out how to address the individuals who will be partaking in my project. And in my research for this panel, I looked on Mirror, and with my virtual highlighter, I highlighted the word "we," Jeff, which is pretty prominent in your Mirror article. I think in the Aku article, I saw something like evangelist came up pretty often. I know like things like collaborator are things that I often saw in the DAO. So maybe starting with Jeff, maybe explain why "we" is important as a syntax or a term relative to customer, or some of the past IRL ways of describing the person on the other side of the, maybe not even the other side of the transaction, just what it used to be.
Yeah, you bring up Mirror actually, and I have Mirror PTSD. So for those who don't know, Mirror is like Web3 version of Medium or WordPress. You blog on Mirror, and then you can mint your writing as an NFT. And when I was setting out to do Stapleverse and I wanted to sort of write my manifesto, all my co-founders and buddies were like, you have to put it on Mirror. And I was like, I don't want to learn a new thing. I'm just going to put it on Medium. And they're like, no, it's Web3. You got to put it on Mirror. So I didn't know how Mirror worked, right? And when you ever go on a new platform, the first thing you do is like, hello world, test, and then like, mint it, right? In 1 hour, $65,000 for that first test post. And I was like, wait, is that their money or my money? Like, I was still so Web2 plugged in that I just assumed that the big company would make the money, not me. And they're like, no, that's all yours. And then, so then I wrote the manifesto, minted that, and did another 60-ish K, so like 150K, like in basically 1 hour of blog writing in my underwear at night. But then what happens is, so to go to your "we" question is, now everyone who bought that NFT on Mirror is like, what do we get for that now? And I'm like, I just wrote a test post. I don't know what you get. I'm just saying stuff, But what's important is that the dialogue began, and then so that got me and my team to think, okay, what do we have to do for these NFT Mirror holders, Whereas in any other traditional business, that conversation of suggestions or complaints is a one-way conversation, right? It could be a suggestion box hanging on the wall and there's pieces of paper in it. It could be negative Amazon comments, or it could be comments on an Instagram post, but it's one way, and it's pretty like generic. But again, it goes back to ownership and stakeholding. Because these people now feel like they have an ownership in what I'm doing, it's almost like my board of advisors. Like I want to and I have to listen to them, and they want me to react to them in a very quick and actionable way. And it's also, the other thing that you throw on top of that is that everything we do, because of the blockchain, is completely transparent also. So we have to act wholly and honestly, and with like gratitude and with authenticity as well,
Thanks. I'm going to pass it to Jeremy. So what do you think about like this nomenclature around whatever this new version of the Web3 customer is?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to DAOs, it's, you all come together under like a shared vision or North Star. And, with Colors, it's, bringing together the most impactful global network of creatives, which sounds like a lot of jargon. But what it really is, we have our network of 600 plus alumni, amazing artists. We have our Colors team, and then our Colors community that exists on Discord. And it's our job to, as Colors, to help kind of onboard people into this space as the Colors DAO, because like I was saying before, there's a lot of unlocks to artists and how they can develop their fan communities, or when it comes to Colors in terms of curation. You know, we have a team, I think, of like, you know, around 30 people, and we can curate, we do a great job, but we really want to tap into the culture in different parts of the world. Like we're setting up for production in Southeast Asia, and you know, we could do our best to reach out to people, you know, post to Instagram, fill out this type form, but if you have community members actually from there, and we do the work to bring everyone together and sort of act as a, you know, and help fund these sort of micro communities and sort of be like we govern the treasury, but we also empower all these local communities. Like, that's extremely powerful. And there would have been no way to do this on such a large scale without a DAO. And so that's one of the things we're exploring right now with our with our Southeast Asia for season 1, and we're really going to be unpacking the art scene. There's also, I don't know what's going on with the echo. Weird. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. What was I saying? Who knows? I feel good about where I left off on that, because I have no idea after the echo, unless anyone wants to remind me. But it's good. Let's move on. Lovely. Southeast Asia, come join us. It's a good time in Colors DAO. Yeah, go for it.
What was the question?
The question is, hopefully there's no feedback. The question is, how do you guys think about those who participate in your project? What do you refer to them as? Yeah, again, in the Mirror post, I saw words like evangelist used quite a bit, but you know, is there one term? Does it matter? Yeah, just wanted to get your feedback on.
Friends? I don't know.
Family.
We just hang out. I mean, we just kick it. Like, we got personal relationships with about pretty much everybody. We have thousands of people in there, and it's because of the fact that we just enjoy getting real feedback. And it's not like, you know, Jeff was talking about like suggestion boxes. Like, we get real feedback because like we build real relationships, and so like people can be open with us about stuff they don't like or what they do like or suggestions, and it's definitely a two-way street. And so I think we've been able to be very successful at this point because we always have open dialogue with our community and have real relationships. And that it's really that simple. Like, it's not like I don't try to over-engineer it in any way. Just real relationships. Like, if I like this guy, I'm gonna hang out with that guy. You know, but it just happens to be in Discord. So, you know.
I do want to touch on the point. So we were chatting a little bit earlier about a podcast that I had heard you speaking on about how in your previous life you would get better at your trade with repetition, with a lot of practice by grinding it out. You talked about things like feedback as being important for the health and the community and engagement of a Web3 project. What are those types of things that you found to be tried and true relatively early on in the project's success that you could share with the audience? Like, what are those habits? What are those things that you're looking for? You know, what are those things that ultimately you found that you're watching for that ultimately lead to success, or, you know, you're engaging in?
I think for us to be successful, you have to have a long-term vision and goal. And I'm not talking like months. It's like 2, 3 year, 5 years out. Because that's like how long it really does take to build something. And if you have a short-term goal of like 6 months or, you know, a couple months, you're always gonna be playing catch up. And I think we fall into that trap sometimes. We're always like, we need to deliver something, and then we like snap out of it. And it's like, well, we actually need to focus on building the brand out for 2024 and like the best quality product, period. And like, we don't need to rush anything. It has to be, like Jeff said, like it has to be A1 every single time. And there's no time on that, like that however long that takes. And so for us, we don't buy into like the market and the hype, because like we are building something that should be market agnostic. It's entertainment, it's a brand, it's something that people just want to consume, and we're building the pipes for that. And so we don't really pay attention to the market, and we just constantly focus on long-term building the best product possible. Like, not Web 2, 3, 7, nothing. It's the best product possible. And that's kind of our vision on things, and that's why we also don't get burnt out, like, because it's legit work.
So as you keep your eye on the long view, are there ways that you measure success in the short term? Or is it really just continuing just to put out good product?
How do we measure success? I mean, yeah, sure. Like, you look at demand and things like that, and there's typical metrics you would measure anything that you output. But I think we're really we're a long ways away from what we're really building. So like, if this was not Web3, we're building it like underground, like nobody would hear about us for probably another 3 to 4 years. So like, but unfortunately, we're in the open, and you're gonna see us make mistakes, and you're gonna see us try things, and but at the end of the day, like, that's kind of like, it's hard to measure success when you're this early.
Yeah, that's fair. Summer, is there anything you want to add?
I think you got it.
Okay, cool. Jeff, same question to you. So on your end, what are your measures for success, if any, at least at this stage? What are those habits that you've found in Web3 that ultimately lead you to better outcomes?
I have a very simple measurement for success, and it applies to Web3 or anything you do in life. If you wake up and you're not happy, you should change something. And if you wake up and you're happy, keep doing that thing. That's pretty much it.
All right, everyone write that one down. All right, Jeremy?
It's hard to follow that up because I completely agree. It's really all that matters. But if we had to dive in, because why not? You want to make sure that, especially on the DAO level, that everyone is being heard and that their voice counts. And you don't want all the ideas to come from the top. In fact, that doesn't even make sense. And in DAOs, that's not how it works. It should really be a bottom-up sort of thing where, you're just sort of there, and the community members are there to help facilitate ideas and empower them. And that's sort of a shift that's happening with DAOs. Like, for instance, with our membership pass, it's a 1-tier NFT. And we don't want there to be like economic barriers to access things. So we also have a tier that's a core contributor tier that we're announcing soon for active community members that just want to participate in the DAO. Because it's kind of weird that a lot of these communities, you just have to like buy into them to participate. Because for like, I don't know, I think like 300 million people have wallets, right? We have 7 billion people in the world. Like, we have a shitload of work to do. And we need to make it more accessible to people. And so I think success is also when you have a really diverse community that, is a really like safe space for people to come to. On the internet, there's a lot of people that are mean to each other. But I think one of the really cool things about the Colors DAO, if nothing else, kind of going back to the happiness thing, everyone's really dope and nobody's a fucking dick. And if they are, then you suck, and we'll probably kick you out because nobody wants that. And that'll be a vote. We'll vote to kick you out. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. One of the things you touched on, and Summer touched on a little bit earlier, was accessibility. And wanted to get the panel's opinion on where you think things are with Web3 as it comes to onboarding, bringing people in, as people who have built and put culture into the world that we all live and breathe. You guys have mastered the message. You guys have mastered the medium pre-Web3. This seems to be a hell of a task as we move forward into a brand new technology that is, for all its potentials, has a lot of pitfalls. So, Summer, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about where you think we are in Web3 and what do you think we'll need in order to get to where we want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're way too early for some of the expectations we have. And so I think we've been really blessed to have this incredible character that just draws people in. You see him and you immediately want to understand him better, the story behind him, how he was created. You want to see how his story as a character unfolds. And so we've really taken that and run and stuck with the basics. Even just a week ago, Micah saw, hit up our extended team, Upscale Vandal, Block, and said, guys, like, back to the basics. We know how to create these moments in quote unquote Web 2, and it just comes down to the fact that we're all humans. We do the same things, just in different ways and with different tools for generations. And so I think part of it is just to be patient and understand where we actually are, and that it's not feasible for many people who we want to come into the space to come in both financially and from a UI UX perspective. And so we have to have this 2, 5, 10, 20-year vision so that we can be here as the tools improve, as the ethos changes to include more people. And so it's a lot of why we do a lot of the things we do, like Art Basel. That wasn't token gated. There were things you can do that had to do with NFTs. There was plenty more to do that had nothing to do with NFTs. We put up a statue yesterday near Pier 17. Some of my favorite moments that day were just the passerbys who had no idea that an NFT thing was going on, and they just saw Aku, 18-foot Aku, and said, "What is this? Let me take a picture."
After a terrible Ape Fest, I was actually really glad to see it walking out of Pier 30. Pier 17.
I didn't know that was happening.
Unintentional.
So it was really great. And then, there is an element on that statue that's token gated, but there's another element that's open for everybody, very intentional. We did an event just now in DC with Google at Something in the Water. I think we were the only NFT project there. Very likely it's just not, we're outside. And part of what some of the folks who were helping us put that together with were really interested in getting into Web3 for the first time. So I had several discussions where they're like, we gotta do something on site where we get everybody who comes in the store to create a wallet. Like, I don't think we do. Like, this is what Aku is about, is we just put him in front of people and they get drawn in, and eventually, on their own time, they do find their way in. There's a lot of people who can say that Aku was their first NFT. I love that story. But even if they just love Aku and aren't going to own an NFT for a while, that's also fine. We're going to be building products where they can use NFTs without having to buy one, certainly without having to buy one for thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think, like with everything we do, it's about being patient, it's about having vision, it's about doing the things that you know are right by yourself, by our IP, by our community, and by the community that's going to join us in the next wave. Like, we are who we are. We've always been outside. Mike was a baseball player and artist. I was a DJ, and all the random things that I was. Like, we've always been outside. I live in Leimert Park. That's who I want to be looking at Aku. I want that statue in Leimert Park. So we're just, I think we just all have to temper our expectations that we're not going to get the next 2 billion people by next year.
Noted. Mike, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think, I just don't think the space is ready. It's not mature enough yet to try to onboard millions and millions. You still have a lot of the rug pulls and scams, and can't go into Discord without clicking one wrong button and it's going to wipe your whole wallet out. Like, I don't feel comfortable onboarding people into this space right now. It's not there yet. And it's okay, because it's okay to be, the infrastructure is not ready for mass adoption. The worst thing that can happen is we could keep on trying to evangelize and onboard people, and they keep on getting burned, and they never come back. I've heard that story so many times. It's like we have to continue to build the pipes and continue to do the things we need to do and push the space forward, because it's just the demand just it started popping before we were ready.
Right. Jeff?
Accessibility is number one for us. Whenever we make any sort of decision, we realize that there are whales, the people who have a lot of crypto. We realize that there are the influencers and the celebrities. But we have an internal word that we use called Little Timmy and Little Tammy. And every time we do a project, we say, can Little Timmy experience this? Can Little Tammy experience this? Can somebody who doesn't have any ETH, doesn't have expendable income, can they be a part of this project too? And a prime example of that is our collaboration with Artifact, where we did a MetaPigeon OG. it was $1 US. And it was available on Bitsky. We made Bitsky do a fiat credit card transaction. So you didn't even need crypto to get this $1 wallet. If you were lucky enough to get that $1 pigeon, I don't know if anyone in the room has one, but that led to then a MetaPigeon sneaker, which then led to a CloneX and then a vial, and then that led you to a Murakami flower, then that led you to a Nike crypto dunk. And literally people come up and tell me that that $1 that I spent on your MetaPigeon has paid for my entire family's college, life, mortgage. It's like a life-changing thing for one. It's like a lotto ticket, you know? And not every project's gonna do that, but I think those seemingly small decisions that we made early, like $1 or 1 ETH, credit card or ETH, you know, like Bitsky or OpenSea, like these small decisions led to this massive monumental thing to happen.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think, yeah, the user experience sucks right now. It's really hard to, see you later, bye, take care. It's really hard to onboard people properly because there's so many sort of things, you know, speed bumps to the whole process. You know, you first have to buy crypto on Coinbase, then you have to like authorize yourself on Coinbase, then you somehow have to understand what an address is, send it to your non-custodial wallet, then somehow connect that to the internet, then somehow mint your NFT, then somehow figure out what the gas fee is and even understand what the hell any of that is. And it's like, that's absurd. But I think one of the cool things in like what we're doing with Colors is like we have obviously this awesome network of, you know, founding members that have collected our existing community and like our 600 plus Colors alumni. And you know, some of those people are quite influential artists, and to be able to onboard them, you know, kind of one by one, if that's what it takes, to, you know, fill them in on what's going on and best practices for their audience, that's super powerful, and I think will help sort of bridge the gap. And you know, the cool thing now, because the market's really down, you know, it's way more affordable to get involved, which is cool. And credit cards are definitely something that's important. You know, platforms where you can, let's say, create a membership community, but you can swipe your credit card for $40, and it creates a wallet for you, and you can sign in with your email address, and if you want, you can export that wallet. Those kind of tools exist today, and I think those are going to get like more and more popular. Additionally, free NFTs are going to get popular as well, and we're already like seeing that. I was actually talking to my friend Matt here about that. He was saying that those are going to be popping, and they are. I mean, like you're just seeing those types of things come to fruition. So, yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but I think there's a ton of money and a ton of smart minds working on how to make this super easy. So it'll happen. It's a matter of time.
Cool. I want to wrap on this last question before we get to some Q&A. So it's NFT NYC week. Thousands of people have descended in New York City. Go to Times Square, go outside here. You can see it for yourself. We are early. We're all up here because we're convicted. We believe in the space. We believe in the future, and we're all building towards it. For those who are uninitiated, what words of advice would each of you give for someone who's just starting out? Jeremy, let's start with you.
Don't get near it, would be the first. No, but if you first, I mean, you just have to understand that we don't have any idea what's going to happen to this space, right? It's whatever, you know, a lot of people are like, it's the wild, wild west, which it is sort of, you know, you just be like careful, like don't like just buy every NFT you see, don't buy every token you see. It's like if you invest in the stock market, you know, buy the index fund, you know, play it a little safe too. You can have a lottery ticket, like the pigeon, of course, that sometimes is very nice. But if you don't get your hands on something like that and you're not like right place, right time, you can try to get there, and it's all this can be sort of gambling-esque. So you just have to be careful and make sure that you like research the teams or the communities you're joining, and make sure that you just really rock with the vision, what they're doing. Like, if it's just a speculative investment, that's cool. If that's how you want to make money, that's really hard. So it's way better to be like, get something that you actually really fuck with, you love the community, you like what they stand for, and help them, you know, work together. Because again, when you have the NFT, you're all like shared owners and shared partners. That's the beauty. So, and also if you're confused and you don't know what any of this shit is, please come to our Colors Discord and ask us questions. You can also DM me. I'll answer anything. I genuinely love onboarding people and helping artists and just creatives into the space because it generally is like an unlock for many artists. So if that's you, hit me up. Let's talk.
From the builder perspective, being this early, I would say, so I've been early, painfully early, more times than I'd like to say. When I was at TuneIn, we had a brilliant idea for social live audio. A few years too early. But I think if you want to build something in this space, Micah would probably say don't. But the number one thing you should do is start from a place of conviction, vision, mission, and patience. Because this, unlike any other time, again, like I said, I've been early before, this is different. We're early, but there's an audience of really passionate, invested, supportive people to actually hold you through the down cycles we're gonna have. That doesn't usually happen. So thinking about what you wanna build, who's actually here to receive it, that's really important, and making sure those two things meet, because they will be patient, they will be with you through the ups and downs, if you do it right, if you do it with all of the things I just mentioned, and you do it with sharing all of that with them in real time, all of the time. You had said earlier that you're an aspiring builder. Like, this is a space where really everybody is in some sense a builder. Like, our community members are building with us every day. We absolutely would not be here without them. So if you want to build, just go, don't be afraid. The worst thing you can do is just continue to wait and sit on an idea. This is the time to put out those things in front of people in real time, and it can't be a copycat thing because, especially in a bear market, no one has patience for that. But come in with a great idea and execute, and probably don't sleep.
Yeah, I got three pieces of kind of like things I think about. You have artists, you have the builders, and you have the community members and collectors. I think for the artist perspective, just keep making art. Don't try to, if you want to scale, understand the consequences that come with that. And if you're just an artist, just make art. Don't worry about what utility you're providing. I don't care about it. I just want to buy something that looks good, and something that I like. If you're a community and you're trying to figure out how to get into the space, think about first how you can add value to that community. You are in control of the value of an asset. So think about how you can insert yourself into community, the value you can add to that community versus being passive. And that's how I would kind of pick the community that you want to be a part of, what value you can get delivered to the asset you own. And then for builders, I would think about building and trying to solve actual solutions and create actual solutions for problems that, Web 2 has, like what can Web 3 change for Web 2 and make it better. Don't just make things just to make things and say, oh, and slap crypto in on it. Like, I want to see things that we need, things that are actually advancing technology. So that's my simple stuff.
Thank you. Jeff?
Can I take a survey here? Raise the hands. Who's been to Japan? Okay. If you've never been to Japan and you want to go, you got to book a plane ticket. You got to find a hotel. When you land, you got to change your money from USD to yen. If you want to buy art in Japan, you're going to need a translator to take you to an art gallery to find the right art dealer, right? You have to go through a process, and sometimes you might get burned. You might make mistakes in that process. But if you do it, and I can tell you, anyone who's been to Japan, if you go through that process, you will likely go through a life-changing experience when you go. At the same time, you don't have to go. You could just stay at home and just be like, I don't want to deal with learning how to change my money to yen and like figuring out art in a Japanese art gallery. Like, just stay home too, And if you notice the analogies that I'm painting here, Japan, metaverse, yen, crypto, art, NFT, if you want to experience this, you will have to go through some effort to learn how to do it. but I guarantee you the payoff is going to be huge.
Thank you. Now I just want to thank the panel. Your first, it feels like a lifetime. Your first several months in crypto has already been quite successful, and I can't wait to see what you guys do kind of next time this comes around. Let's say it's a year, it's going to feel like 10 years. And so you guys have made tremendous progress. You're leading the way, and we're all looking towards you. So if we can give you a round of applause. All right, now we can open in the floor.
We're like running late for it.
Oh, got it.
Maybe one?
Okay, yeah, if there's a question from the audience. Any hands? Don't be shy.
They got you. They got your back.
I'm sure I'm going to mess this up, but my ears perked up when I heard Jeff speaking about going out on Howard Street and seeing images, baby pictures, things that you hadn't approved of. No, was that wrong?
Yeah, I didn't approve of them. Yeah,
Okay.
You're right.
So, doesn't that make you? Let me not put it that way. Does that make you feel, hey, what's going on here? You know, there copyright infringement. Or, you know, I should be paid every time you replicate a picture of my face, man.
Yeah. It's definitely all about letting go of that steering wheel. I felt like hot and bothered, but then I was like, this is Web3, this is the community, I'm gonna trust the process. You know, I've spent 25 years, 2 hands firmly gripped on the steering wheel, controlling every single aspect. And now I'm going to try letting the community take over. And we'll see what happens to Staple in the next quarter century. I'm scared. I am scared.
All right, well, you guys have other engagements, so we're going to keep you.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you guys?
Thank you, everyone, for coming through. We really appreciate your time here. Thank you guys for coming and speaking with us, sharing lots of information. Okay, so we're gonna have a special performance now. A special live performance from a COLORSxstudio artist. His name is Greg Newman. So if you'll turn your attention over by the DJ. Also, another announcement real quick. We are also raffling BBC Hue NMD sneakers. They're at the cash register right now. If you guys look over there. We're raffling them. If you buy a bb3 t-shirt, you will enter to win one of the sneakers, very limited edition. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the performance.